On this episode of Cape Media News, the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office presents the latest crime-fighting technology. AmeriCorps Cape Cod swears in 23 new members on the front steps of the Superior Courthouse in Barnstable, and Massachusetts State Senator Julian Cyr pays us a visit to give us a legislative update. These stories and more. This is Cape Media News. You're watching Cape Media News, your local authentic newscast for Cape Cod. I'm Gabrielle Rawson. Thank you for being here. Governor Charlie Baker declared a public health emergency last Tuesday, September 24th, in response to a multi-state outbreak of severe lung disease associated with the use of vaping products. In response to Governor Baker's public health emergency declaration, the Department of Public Health issued an order to prohibit the sale of all vaping products in Massachusetts, including non-flavored and flavored vaping products and those containing nicotine and tetrahydrocannabinol, also known as THC. The vape ban will remain in effect until January 25th, 2020. To learn more, visit mass.gov/vaping public health emergency. The mosquito-borne Eastern equine encephalitis virus, also known as EEE, continues to be a concern for Cape residents this week. According to state officials, there have been 3 EEE-related deaths and 12 confirmed cases across the state. As of the taping of this show, there are now 35 communities at critical risk and 122 at moderate risk, 4 of which are Wellfleet, Truro, Falmouth, and Bourne. Residents are being urged to use EPA-registered repellents and to wear long clothing and remain indoors when mosquitoes are most active from dusk until dawn. To learn more about how to protect yourself from EEE or to view the EEE risk map, visit mass.gov online. 23 new members of AmeriCorps Cape Cod were sworn in on the steps of the Superior Courthouse in Barnstable this week. For the last 20 years, the Barnstable County AmeriCorps Cape Cod has hosted volunteers from around the country who are all eager to learn about the local environment and want to give back. We attended the swearing-in ceremony in Barnstable. Cape Media News reports.
It is now time for our members to join us in taking the AmeriCorps Pledge. Members, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I will get things done for America to make our people safer, smarter, and healthier.
I will get things done for America to make our people safer, smarter, and healthier.
Their mantra is Be the Greater Good, and their mission is to serve the public through service work. After a month of training, 23 new members of AmeriCorps Cape Cod will set out to work throughout Barnstable County to address the environmental and disaster preparedness needs of Cape Cod.
So they've been trained with Plan ID, which is mainly invasive species removal, CPR first aid, power tool training, along with disaster preparedness and response, because when a disaster does strike, AmeriCorps is the one who deploys to those shelters. For most of them, actually I'm going to say all of them, are really looking to strive to serve our country, and so our program is unique in the sense that they can serve and also learn about the environment, because many of them do want to go on into those fields.
The newly sworn-in AmeriCorps members will take on a variety of local projects, including shellfish propagation, herring run clearing, coastal erosion control, and invasive species removal. Their service will save Barnstable County communities more than $1 million over the next year.
And they'll clear trails on some of the conservation lands. They help with our agricultural programs here on the Cape in Barnstable and Chatham and Falmouth. So they are available to the communities to perform those functions that the communities don't necessarily have the manpower to do. And it's been a great service. They're greatly appreciated. And I hope they have a good time while they're here. But we certainly are rewarded for their activity here on the Cape.
The program is a win-win for new AmeriCorps members who want to gain experience before entering the workforce.
This is a very unique opportunity. I've just graduated college. I'm not quite sure what I want to do quite yet, and This is a really unique ecosystem. It's very different from where I'm coming from on the other coast. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to come out and be able to explore and really immerse myself in the culture and the people here.
So I studied environmental science and sustainability, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I thought a year of service would be a great way to get some experience and try to figure out what I was looking for.
The training was so much fun. It really was. I mean, we got to learn so much and talk to so many different people, and it just hyped me up for the program because we're going to be doing so many different things. I'm just excited to get started and break out of training and just get in there and get things done.
AmeriCorps also gives new members the chance to strengthen and serve the community in a meaningful way.
I think what AmeriCorps does and what it stands for is evoking service and community, and I think that's very important for our nation right now, and so that was what drew me to come and join this, specifically this AmeriCorps program.
I'm really excited to be able to be here and serve our communities. I love the Cape, and I'm excited to see it through all the seasons.
AmeriCorps Cape Cod held its 21st annual swearing-in ceremony on the front steps of the Superior County Courthouse in Barnstable on Wednesday, September 25th. In Barnstable, for Cape Media News, I'm Gabrielle Rawson. To learn more about AmeriCorps Cape Cod or to apply to become a member, visit AmeriCorpsCapeCod.org. Up next, a legislative update from State Senator Julian Cyr.
Everyone knows, in an emergency, you call 911. And do you remember calling 411 for information? But what do you know about 211? If you need help feeding your family and don't know where to turn, you should call 211. If you're a veteran looking for specialized services in your area, you should call 211. If you're unemployed or underemployed and don't know how to find the best opportunities for you, you should call 211. 211 is a free and confidential service that helps people across North America find the local resources that they need. No matter the time or day you find yourself needing help, a trained professional is ready to connect you to the community services around your area. Call 211 or visit 211.org and let us help find you the resources that are right for you. And if you represent a local nonprofit, civic organization, support or advocacy group, or other service agency, you should know if you are signed up with this important and free service. Registering with 211 helps locals connect with your health and human services organization. Whether you help victims of domestic abuse or provide housing assistance, work in addiction services, or run a support group, make sure that your organization is partnering with 211. Contact mass211.org for more information.
Since 2016, Massachusetts State Senator Julian Cyr has been hard at work in the state Senate advocating for the needs of the Cape and Islands. He stopped by our studio to tell us more about the initiatives he's working on and his recent visit to his hometown in Truro, where local students were gathered to join the global climate strike on Friday. Cape Media News reports. There's quite a bit going on in the world right now, especially concerning climate change. Swedish 16-year-old student Greta Thunberg invited the world to strike with her regarding the climate crisis, specifically calling on legislators such as yourself to take part in finding solutions. Can you tell me about the local response and what you're working on to help address this crisis?
So we had a pretty robust day on Friday. Climate activism is certainly nothing new to the Cape and Islands District and to our region. But Friday was something really special. And I was in Truro, actually, my hometown. A lot of what we see, or I often see, right, are adults talking at or talking to younger people and children. And this wasn't that at all. This was actually, folks made signs. I even made a little sign, right? And then the adults it was a beautiful afternoon. The adults were sort of in the perimeter. And then about 30 children went around and sort of we had a sort of soundless conversation, right, with their signs and our signs. And I just thought it was pretty powerful. We've got a lot to do on this issue, and Massachusetts broadly has been in the forefront compared to other states. I think we need to do more. And that's twofold. So First is just around climate resiliency and adaptation. We have done so much damage. Like, we're experiencing climate disruption. Like, that is a fact of our life here for Cape Codders. It's a fact of life for islanders. So we need to have support and services and resources, really, to our municipalities. The House actually, earlier before the summer break, passed a GreenWorks package, which is $1 billion in resources that'll come to communities. It's modeled after a similar program called the MassWorks program that provides basically infrastructure resources to towns. So that's $1 billion GreenWorks program. The governor has a proposal to double the transfer tax for property and use that, which is $1 billion over 10 years, for climate adaptation. I think we've got such a big problem here that we need both proposals. We need the $1 billion that's under the Speaker's proposal. We need the $1 billion under the Governor's proposal. I'm supporting and calling for a $2 billion investment in climate adaptation and resiliency. So that's kind of part one. That's just the fact of life we're living in today. But we've really got to step up this transition to a clean energy future. It's really unfortunate that the Trump administration is stonewalling and delaying the first major offshore wind farm in the country. This is Vineyard Wind, 18 miles south of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. Other projects are getting delayed. The state needs to really push for this, and we need to really keep on a real transition to a clean energy future. And I think we've got to have really hard conversations, about putting a price on carbon, looking at how do we really transition away from fossil-based fuels to certainly offshore wind, solar. There's some specific policies that are slowing down solar installation in the state. So I'd like to see us do all of that. I want to start with this climate adaptation. The House has started that, but I think we need to go further. I think we don't need $1 billion. We need $2 billion over 10 years to address this crisis, and that's what I'm proposing.
That's wonderful. How can people learn more about this, or how can people, I know for myself, I always get frustrated because I know that lawmakers and decision makers are struggling to approve or not approve these bills. How can the everyday person on the street do something to help with this issue, in your opinion?
I think first you just got to chime in with us, right? Make sure you're heard and you're registered. The most effective way is just to either pick up the phone or to write a personal email. Okay. If they're form emails, they kind of end up going into a certain folder when we get back to them. But if you're speaking from the heart, you're speaking personally. I think two, showing up in your municipalities and challenging your municipalities to get really good on a clean energy future. We spend we emit a lot of carbon. We do a lot of things that are not great for the climate in our own communities, looking there. And then I think three, really having conversations with folks about what it's going to take. If you heard, Greta Thunberg at the UN, she was really calling on all of us adults, and you and I are not that old, but right, we're still adults, and really calling us adults out and saying, hey, look, shame on you. She says, I should be in school. I shouldn't be having to do this. You all need to step up. And that's really the message that I think decision makers need to hear. And we need to move forward. We've dragged our heels on this issue for way too long. We've put profits ahead of not only, the environment, we put profits ahead of our own future. And I think now, we're seeing that here on the Cape and Islands, that, climate disruption is real, it is a fact of life, and it is only getting more intense, more extreme. And we need to move quickly to change that, to avert that, but we also got to prepare for essentially what's our new reality.
Absolutely. She is such an inspiration to today's youth and really to adults and to this issue. I hope everyone is listening. How can people contact you or learn more about the initiatives you're working on?
So if you just visit senatorcyr.com, you can get a whole host of information. Okay. MAlegislature.gov as well is a really great resource. Say you have a question about a bill, you just Google MAlegislature.gov and you can search a bill, you can actually track that bill. And then you can email me personally. It's julian.cyr, C-Y-R, at masenate.gov. And then my office number is 617-722-1570. So really encourage folks to reach out, to chime in. This really helps me and my team sort of guide our work, what our priorities for Cape Codders and Islanders, and that's very helpful. So they're never shy, and I expect they will continue not to be, and we appreciate that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for
Good to be with you,
everything that
Gabrielle.
you're doing. Our viewers love these legislative updates. We hope you'll come back real soon.
You bet.
And Senator Cyr is working on a number of initiatives to benefit our region, including the Student Opportunity Act, which would invest more than $1.4 billion into the public school system over the next 7 years, and several initiatives relative to mental health and substance abuse. To watch our full interview with Julian Cyr, visit capemedia.org. More than 4 million people across 150 countries took to the streets last Friday as part of a global climate strike to demand action on climate change. In Barnstable, a group known as 350 Cape Cod held their demonstration at the Cape Cod Commission headquarters. Emily Tulloch reports.
I'm standing outside the Cape Cod Commission's office to learn more about the global climate strike that is currently taking place.
350 Cape Cod really led the way in organizing today's demonstration as part of the global climate strike. And our goal is for the Cape Cod Commission to take up the amendments to the regional policy plan that were proposed early this year and to hold a public hearing on them and to vote on them. We believe these amendments will make a difference in future growth and development on Cape Cod, making sure that emissions are reduced here on Cape Cod. Not just projects that are regional in impact, but also the RPP, if amended, would set goals for local towns as they develop their local comprehensive plans. And it's really important that we have a regional and local planning framework that takes mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions, in other words, reducing emissions, very seriously.
We are the leaders of our school's environmental club. We are here basically just to show that this is a problem that the students are seeing. This is a problem that we want to deal with.
We've been involved in climate action for a while, and it just made sense to come here and to rally and hope that someone's listening.
I really just hope that they see this as a problem. We aren't just a bunch of students here to bunk on school. We are a bunch of students here to fight for our futures because we refuse to be bystanders in our own futures.
Yeah. I just want this to be taken away from the political discussion and just treated as a crisis that's scientific fact and that really can't be ignored anymore.
This climate strike was called by school children, and I'm out to support them because it's their future, it's my children's future, and unless we address the science and the gravity of the situation, I think things will be very grim for their future. I would like the average person who maybe doesn't think about this to become more aware and to realize that it's a very serious situation and that we can't ignore it and that everyone needs to be involved, and especially politically, and vote people who actually believe in science and don't call climate change a hoax.
We are encouraging local citizens to write to the Cape Cod Commission, and especially their appointed representative to the Cape Cod Commission, asking that they take action on the RPP amendments that were submitted to them earlier this year. Just really thrilled to see the students who came out today. Youth really need to drive us adults to work harder on these issues, and also to push our political officials, whether they're elected or appointed, to take action. And the Cape Cod Commission has an opportunity to take a leadership role, and it would benefit the Commission and the region if it did.
In Barnstable, for Cape Media News, I'm Emily Tulloch.
More protests are planned around the country today, this time to target the airline industry. Up next, a technology capabilities presentation from the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office.
Ahoy there, me mateys of all ages. Captain Lazarus' haunted harbor is now open and ready to chill your bones with fright. Every weekend in October, don't miss your chance to see one of Cape Cod's scariest and funnest attractions. The Haunted Harbor is located at the Cape Cod Community Media Center, 17 Shad Hole Road in Dennisport, and is open from 6 p.m. to closing. The Haunted Harbor is a maze of 13 rooms with spine-tingling creatures, monsters, and ghoulies waiting to surprise you around every corner. Admission is $10 to Captain Lazarus' Haunted Harbor. The Haunted Harbor is located at the Cape Cod Community Media Center, 17 Shad Hole Road in Dennisport, and is open from 6 p.m. to closing. Follow us on Facebook, or we may follow you.
Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Gabrielle Rawson. Local law enforcement is using new technology to protect the public from criminal offenders. The Barnstable County Sheriff's Office held a technology capabilities presentation this week to talk about the new technology they're using to investigate, track down, and apprehend criminal offenders. The free event was held at the Yarmouth Senior Center in West Yarmouth. Emily Tulloch reports.
When it comes to protecting citizens, the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office is using the latest advancements in technology to correctly identify newly incarcerated offenders, keep dangerous items from being smuggled into the county jail, and protect the public from criminal activity. They held a free technology capabilities presentation at the Yarmouth Senior Center to showcase these advancements.
We put together this technology presentation so that the public would understand some of our capabilities, what we do inside the jail and outside in the community. So we broke the presentation into two sections. One is inside the jail operations, because that is our largest operational function within the community. And we look at things like our body scan technology that we use to detect whether somebody has swallowed anything that could harm them or someone else inside the jail, or they might be hiding that we can't find on themselves. We also have a number of different types of metal detectors, the ones that you walk through, and then the handhelds, of course, that we use inside the jail. So as they enter the jail, the technology is being used to ensure that contraband, illegal items do not end up inside the jail. The next thing we look at is some of our body duress alarms that the officers use inside the housing units to, if something were to go wrong, that they can notify so that an alert so others can respond and keep everybody safe. We look at other things such as the camera systems that we have in the jail and fingerprinting that we do when people come in so we can identify whether they truly are who they say they are. And so there's a lot of different things that we use.
Outside of the correctional facility, these technologies play a vital role in protecting the community.
So we have a communication command suite that is a vehicle, a command center that can go anywhere and patch a number of different radio circuits, from state police to local fire departments to local police departments, all in at the same dispatch booth right inside the vehicle, so that we have interoperability in our communications. The technology is incredible. It also has look-down capabilities live with state police helicopters. So their infrared cameras that they have on the helicopters stream live into the command post, so that you could get a real-time picture of what is going on. So that's one thing we look at. We also look at our electronic monitoring bracelet, because we do have inmates out in the community that are on their bracelet, and we have them all over the state. So we track them using the latest in satellite technology. It's amazing what this stuff can do. We can see where they are 24/7. We can see where they've gone. And it's just an incredible capability to reintegrate people into the community and lower the cost of incarceration.
If you can't attend a future technology capabilities presentation, have no fear. There is a video you can watch.
Well, right now what the sheriff has done is he has created a short video that you can find on YouTube. If you just go to YouTube and you punch in Barnstable County Sheriff's Office technology capabilities, and you'll see that. It's about a 4.5-minute video. It will talk about some of the other items that I've probably missed out on, but we're out there, we're working hard, we're working with, collaborating with our brothers and sisters and other law enforcement agencies and public safety agencies so that the people out there can, go about their business and be safe.
In Yarmouth, for Cape Media News, I'm Emily Tellick.
To learn when the next technology capabilities presentation will be held, visit the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office online at bsheriff.net. Well, that brings this week's episode of Cape Media News to a close. Please be sure to follow us on Facebook, and thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. With Cape Media News, I'm Gabrielle Rawson.